Hey everyone, welcome to Ian and Friends Tour de Suisse edition. I am FloBikes Senior Editor Ian Dille.
And I am Michael Sheehan, Ian's friend. I am back today.
Thank you for coming back.
Yes.
We missed you.
Yes, the original friend has returned. All right, so stage 4, Tour de Suisse. That's what we saw.
Yeah, exciting stage. It was really wet. Apparently it rains in Switzerland a lot.
Yeah, this is, one of the things we talked about before the race. Suisse is known for some just like really nasty, prolonged spring weather, especially when they're racing in the Alps up here. And it, we kind of talked about if that has anything to do with which riders target Suisse versus the Dauphiné for the Tour de France. Because it's nasty out there and you are running a really big risk of getting sick when you're racing through weather like this. And when you have the Tour in like 2 weeks, that's iffy.
Yeah, and it looked like a nasty day out there for the field. It was kind of the day you want to be in the breakaway, and we saw a really strong breakaway. I think everybody wanted to be in the break so they could stay warm, less road spray. The guys at the back of this field were just drinking water the whole time.
And it's not good water, this is Switzerland, they're racing through agricultural land, so you're just getting like cow manure runoff, and yeah, it's super nasty. That like adds a whole nother hidden element to these bike races where these guys, they're doing a 9-day stage race. Their immune system is already really taxed. Just sleeping, staying hydrated becomes so much more important for these riders throughout a race like this in this weather.
Yeah, not to mention the railroad tracks. Oh. The poor railroad tracks.
Yeah, so on top of the risk of getting sick, like there are just the heightened risk of crashes. And we saw at like 34 kilometers to go today, there was just railroad tracks at the nastiest angle across the road. And I honestly have to tip my hat to these riders that the crash didn't happen 50 wheels sooner. It looked terrifying.
Yeah, it stinks to be at the back already. You're probably suffering, and then it's like the guy that's 10th from last also crashes. There was a rider from UAE Emirates holding his collarbone. Definitely a rough day for him, but let's get into what actually happened on the road. Nans Peters in the break, Nate Brown, Chris JUUL-JENSEN, and the hero of Paris-Roubaix, Sylvain Dille.
Yeah, really good day for AG2R. They had 2 in the break, and they played the last climb really well. The first bit of fireworks we saw was Nate Brown of EF Education First. He put in a stinging attack and really had the entire breakaway on the ropes. It was Sylvain Dille who paced Nans Peters back. There was a bit of a coming together, and then Nans Peters just kind of showed insane strength and rode everybody off his wheel.
Yeah, incredible teamwork from the AG2R team, but hats off to Nate Brown also. I mean, we're friends with Nate. We give him shout outs on this show a lot. But he showed a lot of confidence. Tactically, you don't always want to be the first person in the breakaway to attack unless you're feeling really good. Nate just came off one of the hardest Giro d'Italias of all time. So I think he was actually feeling quite good, and he had a good gap. He wasn't looking back, he was just going for it. Didn't work out for him in the end, but yeah, he's progressing. It's cool to see him in a position to win a bike race of this magnitude.
Yeah, this is not the Nate Brown that we saw 2 years ago. He's always good at getting in the breaks, but we're seeing him animate them a whole lot more. So, Ian and I, we were both really pumped to see it. And it shows a lot of maturity coming off of such a hard Giro d'Italia and being able to animate races and not just being completely tired. Another person who came off a very hard Giro d'Italia and is obviously on very good form is Christopher JUUL-JENSEN.
Yeah, I mean, he was having to do a lot of work at the Giro, especially in the first 2 weeks when Simon Yates was leading this race. On the front for long stretches of time, definitely one of the workhorses on that team. Nans Peters was incredibly strong on this climb. I mean, he didn't look good. He was fighting his bike the whole way up the hill. Chris JUUL-JENSEN really just paced himself, kept Nans Peters within distance, and then on the descent is where it really all came down together.
Yeah, it was just, I'm sorry, it was painful for me watching Nans Peters take this descent. It's the most inefficient looking bike rider that I've seen. His shoes were even different colors. That's got to be at least 5 watts. He's all over the bike, just kind of like tall chest, taking a lot of wind. Whereas you have JUUL-JENSEN, who is a former national time trial champion, which really just means he is like the epitome of efficiency. You could see him just kind of stalking Peters in the background. Smooth cadence, really narrow, taking the corners so much better. And yeah, he had to chase pretty much the entire downhill, but he did it with so much less energy and ended up just riding right by Nance Peters.
Yeah, just blew by him, and he's a bigger rider, you know, obviously had that to his advantage. Also just more proficient through the turns. I mean, there weren't a lot of turns on this descent, but where they were, they looked like ice, and JUUL-JENSEN took them really well. We also need to give him a shout out for yesterday, which we forgot to mention, when he had a stinging attack that went up to the brake and touched the lap button on his power meter to
20 seconds into his attack.
Yeah.
He has the wherewithal to look down at his computer, press the lap button, and he's like, I should record this effort. And then continues on with his 500 watt effort.
Yeah, so obviously looked at his file from his impressive attack in yesterday's stage, said, I have the legs to do this today. Blows by Nance Peters, hits the last 2K. I mean, this was an insane nail biter, so exciting. If you haven't watched it yet, go to FloBikes, watch our full replay on the site, because they descend onto this airport tarmac, which as a breakaway rider, is probably the last thing you want, is a pack of 60 guys. Michael Matthews, Peter Sagan, Van Avermaet, Stefan Koen, the race leader, was charging on the front. And they can see him, you know, it's just a long, straight road, but man, he put his head down and just went for it.
It was such a well put together stage by the organizers, because it was a hard climb. It was a very, very hard climb. The peloton was down to 60 riders, and that just makes it unpredictable. You know, you have a climb, a descent, then flat, finish. If you're a sprinter and you have a team that can stay together on the climb, then the sprinter definitely has the advantage over the breakaway rider. But you know, you have rain, hard climb, all the teams are diminished, and you know, JUUL-JENSEN just barely held on, and you know, that's the kind of finish that these it really just lends itself to who knows what can happen.
Yeah, and to be in the break all day like that, and then still have the power to hold off a charging field in the last 2K of this race. I mean, he was doing that all on, you know, will and determination. It always amazes me, somebody that's putting out that much energy over the course of a stage and then can basically still go faster than the guys who've been sitting in most of the stage in the final K of the race. Yeah, it's just phenomenal. And also, you know, his post-race interview, he was obviously just super pumped, biggest win of his career, and just a real sort of down-to-earth and you know, pretty charismatic guy.
Yeah, hats off to him. You know, great ride. And what are we going to be seeing tomorrow?
So tomorrow is, you know, the first big GC day. We've seen the GC riders sort of itching to get after it on even some of these category 3 climbs, showing themselves. Port put in a dig, Quintana was at the front, Landa was there, the Sunweb riders have been there, and tomorrow they're going to get what they've been waiting for. A category 1 climb to start off this stage, a long run through the valley, and then 2 above category climbs to finish it off with a summit finish.
Yeah, they're going to be getting into really more winter ski resort destinations tomorrow. Cat 1 climb at the start, it's just 15 kilometers straight uphill. It's going to be a very, very nasty start for a lot of the riders. But as Ian said, there's a really long flat stretch. We're probably going to see BMC doing a lot of work through the valley. They're going to have to really meter their effort though, because Stefan Koen probably not going to be wearing the leader's jersey after tomorrow, but Richie Porte and TJ Van Garderen, they are both in prime position, having, you know, also benefited from winning the team time trial at the start of the race. You know, they're going to have a very good shot at it. BMC is going to have to play it really smart and not burn up too much before these HC climbs at the finish. Yeah, we're really going to see the fireworks between Movistar, which we've been waiting for, BMC, Sunweb is in the mix, and let's not even forget Quickstep. Enrique Mas is sort of my dark horse pick to show himself on the stage. And it could be a day for the breakaway also, starting on a Cat 1 climb and then a long run through the valley could potentially give the breakaway a lot of leash. You know, we spoke with American champion Larry Warbasse before the Tour de Suisse. He's definitely looking for a breakaway in the mountains, so look for him in the break tomorrow. But either way, it's going to be an exciting day. Yeah, one way to find out. Please tune into FloBikes.
Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow.